I woke up one day and a lot of my friends were messaging me and say like, dude, you're viral, like you've exploded. Everyone in my office is talking about you. Then I'm like, my first thought was, wait, what? Did I have like some nude picture go online? I'm pretty sure I've never taken in my life, but why on earth would people be talking about me? To be very fair, investing is not difficult. And I think for us especially, we are no math background, no finance background. In fact, I hated math. It was my worst subject in school, okay? I wouldn't have expected. If someone told me, do you know you'll be in finance next time? I'd be like, I don't believe you. You're joking. But look at where life has turned out, right? And it is really not just about the numbers. But once you learn how to invest, there really is very little point in keeping an ILP given the high charges. It's a lesson to not just trust other people.
Meet Dawn, Singapore's biggest female finance creator. She's a powerhouse behind SG Budget Babe with over a decade of investing experience under her belt. A self-made millionaire and a full-time mama, Dawn built her wealth from scratch, and now she's on a mission to help other women do the same.
When I get their messages or emails where they say like, hi Dawn, I just wanted to thank you because I read your article or I watched your video and you helped me to really wake up and clear my debts.
Wow.
And I'm proud to tell you now that I've cleared all my credit card debts. I've cleared my this debt, I paid back my student loan, etc. Or I managed to fire my boss because I did this, etc. And that really makes me wow.
If you have ever felt like money was confusing or out of reach, this is the episode that will change everything. But before that, I would like to give a special thanks to Sharescom for being the sponsor of this video.
Are you looking for a cool platform where you can comfortably trade derivatives on your favorite stocks and crypto? Meet Shares.com, a regulated and trusted trading platform powered by global broker Capital.com. What are the main benefits of using Shares.com? Let me explain. First of all, you can trade on over 3,000 markets, including your favorite stocks, cryptos, currencies, and commodities with great leverage. You also have free access to 75 indicators, 8 time frames, and 6 chart types. All the pro tools you need. All costs and charges are transparent and competitive, no hidden fees. You can trade on mobile or desktop. If you are unsure, a free demo account is always available. And finally, enjoy fast withdrawals. According to Shares.com's internal data of 2025, 98% of all withdrawals are processed within 24 hours. Now they are giving away a special promo to my viewers. Register using the link in the description. Enter promo code Arigato50 in the chat box. Once you trade a required volume, you will get up to $50 bonus. Ready to start trading? Check out Shares.com today.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Arigato Investor. Oh my god, today I finally managed to invite my 女神 to come to my podcast.
Hi everyone, I'm Dawn. I know you for a few years. I didn't even know this 女神 thing.
I'm very, very sure if you are in the personal finance space, you have definitely read her blogs. You probably grew up with her. A lot of her financial tips have helped you to make better financial decisions. And thanks for making your time to be here as well. I think my first question will be, what inspired you to start this brand called Budget Babe? And such a catchy name. How did you even come up with that?
Okay, to be fair, right, there's a story behind Budget Babe that isn't very ideal. So I started the blog because I like to write. And back then I was telling my then boyfriend, now husband, and I was just complaining that, hey, I work in corporate and I was trained as a journalist. My childhood dream was to become a writer, but the only writing I'm doing are emails and proposals. What is this? And then he was like, then you write a blog, right? You want to write, just write. I was like, oh yeah, I probably should. So that was exactly what I did. And then I didn't know what to write about. So I said, then what should I write about? I think very lame to write I had this today for my breakfast, lunch, dinner. I went to this place, I wore this outfit. Because at that time, if you remember, blog's content was all about that.
Yeah, that's true.
I felt like it was very mundane. It's not the type of thing that I wanted to write. And some more, I had a secret. I repeat my outfits. I don't have a wardrobe with a lot of clothes.
Okay.
Right? And it's very obvious. You will see me in the same outfit after a while. So I post OOTD after maybe 10, 15 days, you see it repeat already. So I cannot be a fashion blogger. Right? So I was like, Then my then boyfriend, now husband said, why don't you just write about what you've been talking about with your friends? And it so happened that at that time, I just saved $20,000. And it was in 1 year. So I was very proud of the feat. Right? And a lot of my friends were asking me, how did I do it? Because they thought crazy lah, how? We all just started work at the same time, you're earning less than me, how? Yeah. Right? So that was the topic of every meetup. So I was like, okay lah, I just write. So whenever I talk in person with my friends, I put it onto the blog as the first article. And I honestly did not expect it to go viral because the only place that I shared was on my Facebook and to my friends on WhatsApp who asked. So there were a lot of them who wanted to meet me for lunch, right? But then I cannot meet everyone. Like they would hear and then they would say like, yeah, I want to know how. But I didn't have time to meet everyone. So after a while, I was like, yeah, I wrote it here. Here, you can go and read, right? And just I think it was 2 weeks later, I woke up one day and a lot of my friends were messaging me and say like, dude, you're viral, like you've exploded. Everyone in my office is talking about you. Then I'm like, my first thought was, wait, what? Did I have like some nude picture go online? I'm pretty sure I've never taken in my life, but why on earth would people be talking about me? Right? And then I went on and then I saw my blog and it really just like exploded.
Wow.
So that was unexpected. And then from there, in fact, the very first name for the blog was Work, Live, Play something. Very lame one.
Okay.
But then it was not catchy and I personally didn't like it either. So then after that, I was like, okay lah, since everyone likes the 20,000 thing, then it's all about budgeting, right? So I do Budget Babe lah. And I thought like, hey, so catchy, so nice, right? Later on, then I realized, apparently Budget Babe was already used before. Yeah, so I thought I came out with it because it was in my head. But it turned out that I only learned this about, I think, 4 months in because someone wrote me an email saying, hi, Choo Choo. I was like, oh my gosh. Then I went to Google and it was actually a channel name for Bong Choo Choo show on Click Network before.
Oh.
And I had no idea, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go into any copyright issues. So then I was like, but it's a bit too late to change, right? So, no, sorry, that was Budget Barbie.
Okay.
Budget Barbie, yes. So it was Budget Barbie at first, which is why you see my email address is still Budget Barbie. I couldn't change because everyone was saying already BB. So I was like, change to what's another B? Babe lah.
And when you're talking about journalism, right, it kind of reminds me that we are from the same school.
Yeah, right.
We communication school. Okay. And I also from the journalism concentration, so it was really good. But I never seen you in school before.
Because we different year ma.
So going back to you as a content creator, you being the OG of the entire blogging space to right now, you are still so big in personal finance, right? How has this journey changed your life?
The best part of it is that I get to do work that I really love. And to me, that is the biggest fulfillment because my childhood dream was really to get a job where I can write. Yeah, the more I write, the happier I become. And writing really is an outlet for me, right? So being able to do this work and see it impact people's lives, when I get their messages or emails where they say like, hi Dawn, I just wanted to thank you because I read your article or I watched your video and you helped me to really wake up and clear my debts.
Wow.
And I'm proud to tell you now that I've cleared all my credit card debts. I've cleared my this debt, I paid back my student loan, etc. Or I managed to like fire my boss because I did this, etc. And that really like makes me wow. You know that impact. It's like that quote that I say.
Right?
How it's about the lives that you have touched. The people who will remember you after you're gone. And I think like I truly believe my work is achieving that and seeing that happen has been very fulfilling. That has been the best part of what I do.
Have you ever imagined yourself being able to grow to such a big following back then when you first started?
No, I mean, and to be fair, we grew up in the era where there was no such thing as being paid for blogs.
That's
Remember?
true. That's
the
true.
only people being paid back then was like your Xiaxue, your Bong Choo Choo, your Tammy Tay, okay? And only these people which they have a certain look. Right? They're very pretty slim and they look a certain way and they're very lifestyle, they're very fashion, travel. There's no finance. Right? And the whole concept of being paid for writing was very, very like unheard of. So I really wouldn't have imagined that it would grow to how it is today. And I wouldn't even imagine that now we'll be in the age of videos. In fact, I still remember we can't even load videos when we're outside because our internet data is so little.
Slow, right?
Yeah, that's why reading blogs back then was the only way. Because you cannot
right.
even load anything.
That's right.
Yeah, so wow, everything has changed so much, man.
So talking about change, since you also know that now is the era of video, how has that impacted your blog? Do you think people don't go like read blogs as often as it used to be? How has it impacted you as Budget Babe?
For sure, I think a lot of the consumption habits have changed in the last few years. We're really seeing a huge growth towards video and people are consuming more. But at the end of the day for finance, right, because it is such a deep topic, anything that you learn from video is just going to be very surface level. And if you really want like in-depth stuff, right, you still need to go into text. So I still believe that
that's
there is
true.
a place for blogs. It's just that yes, the consumption is less. Last time, for example, if I wrote the how I save 20,000 in a year, right, that would be a blog article. But today, if I were to do that now, it would be a video. Here are 5 ways that I save $20,000, and the paragraphs would be the script. Yeah. So I think one change is that it has allowed me to try out writing in a different way. It reminds me of when we were in Week in We, and we had to write the broadcast script. Remember that table and then the VOs and all the scenes, right? Yeah. So I am now doing that for videos instead of just like the whole text base. Yeah, that has been one change, and it's really forced me to really think about like what format. At the end of the day, I'm still a writer lah. Okay, and I still believe that there are some things that I cannot just communicate on video. So in the past, I only wrote. Nowadays, I would write the article if it's in depth, and then I'll create a video like a teaser to talk about it, and then tell people like go and read the article. Because to say in a video, let's be real, the attention and the watch time will all drop lah. Right? So it's more of like the video creates the awareness that you need to know this. Go and read this article.
I also like how you actually integrate different mediums to help audience to really digest the information in a different level, right? Those people who like very short and fast, that will be like videos, and then for those ones in depth, that will be the article. I think that's very insightful.
Correct. It's just like if you want to analyze a stock, you have to go in the financial
that
statements
is
and
true.
stuff. How are you going to just watch a video? And I think to be very critical, isn't that the problem of the lockdowns? Because everyone was getting interested in investing, but they never go and learn properly, or they don't know. And they were all watching videos to figure it out. They were buying stocks by just watching a video. And no matter how good the YouTuber is, the level of analysis in one video, it could be very deep, okay, to be fair, but not all of them are. And you're making a decision on a video that you only watch once. How many times are you going to replay the stock analysis? You wouldn't, right? You just watch and at the end of the day, how you feel. Wow, sounds very bullish, I buy. But after that, you don't remember why you buy. You don't remember the thesis. So when the thesis breaks, you also don't know what to do. Then you wait for a YouTuber to tell you buy or sell. Then again, you see your sentiment, how you feel after the video. And I feel that that is really the wrong way to invest. So at the end of the day, like while video it has its merits, and to be fair, like I remember when the yen trade collapsed.
Yeah.
Wow, if you want to use words only to describe that, very difficult. So I actually did a video on Instagram where I showed how I illustrated how that collapsed, and then I did a blog article, and that video was also in the article. Yeah, so it helps to really understand. You get lost by reading the words. You can see the video to understand how it actually collapsed. But I always believe there's a different medium for different types. Yeah, we are all different learners, right? So I used to, I took modules in NIE also back then to learn how to teach, right? Because I was also thinking, backup plan, everybody backup plan, you go and be an NIE teacher, right? Right, secret. If you're in NTU, everybody backup plan, you just go NIE and be a teacher. So I took some modules there and I learned about how people learn. I realized like some people are really better at reading, right? Like what's your learning style?
I think it's reading.
Reading, right? Yeah, me too. What's your learning style?
I think I'll make it practical, but I think reading is the one that you can really go super deep. I think the problem of video is that like you watch, it's like 5 seconds pass, but then the information presented, right, it's actually very important. You need to keep seeing it again in text. That's why I like reading. That's why I like reading.
Yeah, correct. And you can, when you read, you can control your eye line to focus on the parts that you know, this paragraph is very important. Then you skim the parts that are not so. But videos, you are at that video creator's pace. Right, you may have missed something important, like, wait, what did he just say?
It's super important, but then you missed it then.
Yeah, and then to find it also is very difficult.
Yeah, very difficult.
Correct. So for me, how I consume YouTube videos is I read the transcript. Because I really learn and absorb a lot more when I read their transcript than to watch the whole video and sit through it.
Faster also, I think.
Yes, correct. The only exception is when the concept is not difficult. Right, so I really believe that even though the consumption habits are changing, there will always still be a marketplace for readers. It's just like how in traditional media, there will always be people who will read the newspapers and the magazines, people who listen to the radios, people who watch TV, right? And then people go to movies and live theater, same thing. I believe it's the same thing on social media, different crowds.
So content creators should also learn to use different mediums that's suitable for them and different mediums that it's also useful for the audience as well. Yeah. So just now when you're talking about investing, I really like how you describe that. So many people out there just like to watch certain videos and they buy stocks without actually reading through those financial reports and all this, which is crucial, right? So being an investor, we need to be very careful and do our due diligence. So can you share with us a little bit more about your own investing journey? What is the motivation behind you started your own journey, and how has it been so far?
So to be very honest, I used to invest through ILPs. Because back then when I was fresh out of college, my senior called me out, say, hey, catch up for coffee. Typical line, right? And then my senior said like, hey, do you know what is inflation? I said, no, I don't. And then he explained to me what is inflation. He said, like, you keep your money in the bank, you know you're losing. So typical sales pitch, we all know how that goes. And he said, like, I know better, trust me. So I asked, like, how does he manage his money? And he was talking to me about how he does it. And then he sold me an ILP. And I asked this question, I said, like, do you invest in an ILP yourself? And he said, no. Then I said, like, then why would you say that I need it?
Yeah.
Because I know how to invest, I'm doing all these things, but you're not. Okay lah, I get it. I mean, I was very young and naive and gullible, so I believe it. But I think he did it with intentions that
will
he
help
felt
you
were right at that time lah.
And commission based.
Probably, okay. At the end of the day, only the people would know. But like a few years in, I outgrew that. Right? Like ILPs, to be very frank, if you don't do anything else, okay, you don't even invest your own through robos and stuff, and they didn't exist during our time, then okay, ILP is the lesser evil. But once you learn how to invest, there really is very little point in keeping an ILP given the high charges, unless you're very sure that the agent can give you an alpha that is way, way, way better than what you can achieve yourself, right? That then offsets the fee that you pay them. So I started in my investing through the ILPs, but it didn't do very well.
Oh.
Right. Obviously, we all know how it works, the first few years, the comps really eat into it.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, yeah. And at that time, there was no pure investment ILPs. It was the
insurance,
one.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the cost of insurance also eats into your returns. So obviously, the returns weren't fantastic. And then, and that was before I started the blog. So when I started the blog and I went viral, and then I had a lot of comments, right? And I remember a lot of those comments in the early days. And one of them really stood out to me, which was like, this guy who said, now that you have $20,000 in the bank, you should invest it. I was like, what is invest? Wow. See me, right? I went to Google, what is investing? Then I went down the rabbit hole, like, oh, Warren Buffett. Hey, this guy seems quite cool, very smart, wow, very rich. So then I went to read all the books, right? I go and read the value, the Graham books and everything, and then Munger and Peter Lynch, and I read the whole list, which I have on my blog. I read everything that I put in the recommended books on my blog, right? Every single thing on that article, I read them, I digested everything, and I was like, this is so cool, and I was in the rabbit hole already. So then I was like, I think I know, let me start. I try, right? So then I started investing. And I remember my very first stock was SingPost. Again, not the most ideal. I think when you're young, you always look to other people for advice and direction. So I had a broker, and same line. He was like, I know better than you. I'm more experienced. Okay, but the ultimatum line, which I always remember, is my broker said. So he was the one who pitched me SingPost. And if you remember back then, the SingPost CEO was going around doing a lot of publicity, a lot of interviews and all, and really talking about how SingPost is going to be the next big e-commerce stock that is equivalent to today's J&T and Hainiao and all that lah, okay? Which we all know never materialized. Okay? Now on hindsight, we knew it didn't materialize, but at that time, I understand he was painting the future, and that future did not exist, right? And I bought into that vision because my broker said, trust me, is like really good, you can see, and I know better. And the ultimatum was, he said, I told my parents to buy it. I told them to buy it more expensive than it is today. Now drop, why you don't want to buy? You think I will hide my own parents?
Wow.
Yeah, so when that line was like, I don't think he will do his own parents in lah. I think I can trust. So based on that, with no fundamentals, no analysis of the numbers or anything, I bought into Singtel. Not Singtel, SingPost.
Yeah.
And I regretted it. Because later on when it fell, again, I didn't know why. And because I didn't know the thesis for it, I couldn't decide what to do with the investment. And later on, we all saw what happened. It didn't materialize, competition became even more tough, and then analyst report showed that it was not as grand as they said it would be, and then everything started dropping. Yeah, in the end, I was like, you know what? Yeah, the best thing I learned from this is the lesson to not just trust other people. Because I had to be taught that lesson twice. Paid for in my own fees, right? Tuition fees to the markets or to the agents and to the brokers. Yeah, so that was my early stage investing journey.
This journey has made you stronger and really made you become more diligent in doing your own research.
Correct. I always believe that if we lose money in the stock market, we must get the lesson out of it. Yeah, because a lot of people lose money, but they don't know why. and they don't learn anything from it. So then naturally you continue to lose money, right? But like what I always tell my readers nowadays is that even if you don't know how to invest, you can just put in a small amount that you're willing to lose, even like $100. Fractional investing has become a thing, right? Just put it in. When you lose money, it's just going to be like 1 mil, 2 mils outside. It's not going to be life-changing. But the lesson, you must make sure the lessons you get out of them, right, you really learn. Because then later on, when you go into your 4-digit, 5-digit, 6-digit investment, you will not make that same mistake. And the cost of your lesson is cheaper when you're younger. Because when you're not as knowledgeable, you're less confident, you will not dare to put a huge amount. But when you're older and you have more disposable cash, you think you're very savvy, you will put a lot. So if you didn't learn the lessons from your early years, it's going to come back and bite you later on. Yeah.
So don't be afraid to make mistakes, right?
Don't be afraid to lose money in the stock market, but make sure that you know why you lost the money and you don't repeat that. And to be very frank, a lot of the money that you lose in the beginning will always it will become very small over time.
Yep.
Yes, it will become peanuts. I remember I was crushed when I lost $7,000. Yeah, in my
that was a lot back then.
Yes,
yeah.
and it was 3 months of my salary.
Yeah.
Wait, was it in Singpost?
No, it was a different stock. It was a different stock. But then I learned a very powerful lesson from that, which has later on saved me from losing more money later on.
Hundreds and thousands potentially.
Yeah, so I think it's very important. But back then I was so crushed, man. I was so depressed over it. Like, 7,000, I can go on a Europe trip. It's like 3 months of my salary and it's all gone. Why was I so silly? But the lesson I learned, like today, that saved me from making
you losing $7,000, that was a lot of money.
Yes,
What made you not giving up on investing?
Because I knew, like when you go down the rabbit hole and you really understand how investing works, right? You know in the long run you will come out on top. Yeah, and you know that if even someone as smart as Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and all the greats have lost money,
Yes.
so will you. But more importantly, the losses will be dwarfed over time. Yeah, so I really kept true to that knowledge that I gleaned from all the books and the biographies, and it really played out. Yeah, I think it's very hard to imagine that. Like, you really just have to hold on to that faith, right? Because when I'm in my 20s and losing that huge amount, I'm like, it's very easy to give up. But you have to trust in the process. So I told myself, trust. Yeah, like these guys are so much smarter than me and richer than me, right? I'm sure if it's just one person saying, you can discount what they say. But these are all the greats who have really
All the
made their
legends.
wealth. Exactly. Yeah, so I think they know something better than me. So I better listen and follow.
So what I'm picking up is it's very important to really read, right? I think sometimes we are so fixated on just reading the annual reports, but sometimes more than that, right? If you go and read those biographies, the investing philosophy behind those great minds, actually you will learn a lot more. And then once the mindset is correct, then you go and read those annual reports. It will become easier for you to analyze, and your fundamental in terms of your psychology also more, I think, stable to become a better investor.
And the skill set also, if you think about it, when we were in school, when in journalism, we are taught, and even in history, for those who go through Singapore education system, secondary school, right, we are taught the difference between primary and secondary source verifications. And if you only invest because you only consume a video, that is secondary. Why are you not going to the primary source? If you want to know about Tesla's numbers, you should be pulling up the Tesla financial report. You should be reading what Elon Musk himself says during the earnings call. You should not be reading a KOL or of influencers' take on it. You can read that take, but you still need to do the primary verification, right? You cannot just trust. And I think the problem is that everyone just relies nowadays on secondary.
Because we always like to have it convenient, right? Have it fast. But this, if we start changing and really just be willing to go through the inconvenient part first, later on, I think the fruits is going to be a lot better.
Yes, correct. And when you know how to go through the proper way of doing it first, later on when you watch the video, I also watch the videos now, right? But how I do it is that is just a trigger for me to decide whether or not it's interesting for me to go and do the primary source verification. Yeah, if I'm like, no I watched this video on Tesla and I'm not convinced, sorry. I think Elon Musk is a key man risk. Okay, anything you say like boom, up and down, no, I don't want. So if I cannot accept the risk, I wouldn't go and deep dive into it. But if I watch a video, and I have seen some videos where like, hey, that sounds quite compelling, yeah, let me go and dig, and then I'll go and dig the primary sources. Yeah, so I think a lot of people don't do that. They really just based on pure video, and I know this because in my conversations with my readers, I ask them what you buy, or they'll ask like, example, help, I invested in Alibaba. Then like, what you buy? Oh, so many YouTubers say we'll go to the moon, China big. Like, I also invested in Alibaba, but I made money. They're like, huh? How you make money? They say like, I also bought at this price and at a high. Yeah, I was so late, then why you make money? I didn't. I averaged down, did you? No, I'm losing money. I got a bit scared. I just shut off the brokerage. I don't open. I'm like, but if you know what Alibaba is worth, and you know the reason why you invested it, at this price, you are willing to pay. When it goes to this price, if the fundamentals have, and in fact, the fundamentals got stronger, you should be buying more. Why didn't you? Because they didn't know the initial thesis. So that's why they don't make money, right? And honestly, that is the problem of, touch your heart, right? A lot of people really did that during the lockdown.
And I think it just reminds me of Charlie Munger's one of the big trait that he always encourage people is to be curious and be inquisitive, right? Like you really want to make sure you keep learning, right? Don't just rely on people's information, but you want to make sure you make that decision for yourself after dissecting all this. So my next question is, oh my God, I'm learning so much. I loved it. my next question is like, you right now, right, because you are already a very seasoned and experienced investor, but to people who are very at a beginner level, what will your advice be to them if they don't know anything about investing? How should they get started?
Learn. I think it really starts with the curiosity to go and learn, because to be very fair, investing is not difficult. And I think for us especially, we are no math background, no finance background. In fact, I hated math. It was my worst subject in school, okay? I wouldn't have expected. If someone told me, do you know you'll be in finance next time? I'd be like, I don't believe you. You're joking. But look at where life has turned out, right? And it is really not just about the numbers. Yeah, I think a lot of people get very scared at the complexity of it, but it really isn't. It's just the very simple thesis. What is the reason, right? If, let's say, you want to invest in Netflix, and you spotted Netflix at the infancy before everyone had a Netflix account, right? Or Apple. If you spotted and you're like, this is a really good product, you go into the Apple financial statements and you confirm it's a great product. But then, am I the only one buying? Or are other people buying too? If other people are buying, are these companies making good profits? Or are they losing money? Right? And then you go into the financial statements to find this out. It's actually, investing is very logical. It's not a mystery, right? But I think the problem is that people think it is so complicated that they don't realize it's actually very simple. So the best advice for someone starting out is just learn and have the curiosity to learn and understand why you're investing in something. And it just applies to everything, even if you're investing in yourself. If you invest in your career, right? If you invest in your MBA, you need to know why. And the why is the most important thing that drives you. And for people who are they find individual stock picking too hard, which actually I think is the most exciting and the most fun part.
Wow.
But for those who find it very difficult, there's so many other options nowadays. There's like robo-advisors, there are fractional investing, there is funds, and it's very easy to just understand how index funds or robo-advisors work compared to an individual stock, right? But I also feel when you invest in a basket of stocks, your control over it is also lesser, right? Because you're investing in the entire team. It's not so much specific companies. So your returns will also balance out a little bit.
Yeah. It's really more for, I think at the end of the day, it's understanding your own character. Like for example, for Dawn, she likes it. Like I think by analyzing all those individual stocks, it makes her excited, right? That's the fun part of investing. But for myself, I'm more like the lazy investor. I like it to be just do there, part there, index investing, and then I don't need to think much about it. Then of course, add a little bit of options to increase the return. But overall, I like it to be really hands-off. So at the end of the day, it's really understanding our own character. Then you choose the most suitable instrument for yourself.
Correct. So your method is through investing in index funds.
Yeah, ETFs with options.
Right. So you use the options to reduce the
Correct.
volatility or to increase a little bit of the passive
The
income.
ROI and all this.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's primarily on the index funds.
Correct.
Yeah. So your method actually is also very simple, right?
Yeah,
just
yeah,
understand what the index funds do, and then I think the most complicated part will probably just learn how to do the options on top of that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but it's simple.
Yeah,
but
it's
I
simple.
actually find that more complicated than my approach. But it's not that it's also not that one is really easier or one is harder, right? It's different people find different things hard. Just like in school, my very good friend, don't need to study for physics, can get A. I study, I still fail. So we all have different strengths, right? I like individual stocks because it's about the businesses. It's never about the Sharpe ratio and all that kind of very complicated things and all the Greek option Greeks, which I don't like. I like simple English. And to me, it's really about the business. What are they selling? What product? Why is it so good? What's the competition like? How much money are they making? Ooh, is it a profitable product? Will this product exist in 10 years, or is it just a trend that will die off like Labubu? Right?
Wow.
Pretty sure that will die off as trends have shown, right? So I want to invest in things that are everlasting, right? Things like, if I think about, let's say, healthcare, we all know that the world is getting older and aging. What stocks can help make healthcare more accessible, more affordable, and more superior, right? Would that be medicine? Could that be telemedicine? Could that be new surgery machineries or the gloves for the industry? So that is the thing that I find more exciting, because it's really about your life, right? It's our life now and the future. And I like that kind of stuff rather than options Greek.
Yeah. Wow, I like that. Yeah, it's really about doubling down on your own interest and your passion.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So, and previously when we were doing the episode with Kevin as well, he also talks about, apart from savings, most importantly is learning how to increase your income. Well, what's your take on that?
Yes, I think it's multiple things. It's learning how to spend more deliberately, so cut your expenses, learning how to save aggressively, not to the point whereby you feel very deprived and you cannot sustain, but you need to be able to save, right? And then finally, increasing your income and then investing the rest. Yeah, so I think if anyone can do all these 4 things, you're pretty much set for life. You will reach financial freedom in time. Yeah, but the difficult part is a lot of people want things, but yes, and they're not willing to work for it.
That's true.
Yeah, so everyone wants a pay raise, but how are you justifying to your boss that they should pay you and not someone else? Everyone wants multiple sources of income. But what are you doing if you're just like, oh, but I go home, I'm very tired, I just want Netflix and sleep? Okay, but compared to the other person who is not going to Netflix and sleep and spend that time building a business on the side, that person is going to make more money than you. You both want the same things, more money, more income. But one person takes the action and the other one doesn't.
I absolutely love that. It's all about our conscious choice, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the choices that we make every day that will really make us very far ahead in life.
Yes,
Right?
it's the James Clear Atomic Habits mindset, right? Every day you plus just one tiny thing, over 365 days, boom.
Explodes.
Yes.
Just like compounding. Phew,
Yes,
explodes.
exactly. And to be fair, I wasn't a great writer from the beginning as well, right? I got more concise as I went on. And a lot of things, like, really, the more you do it, the better you get. And the less time it takes. I remember the first time I digested a financial statement, it took me 20 hours. I was like, how do people do this? It's so difficult. And I want to fall asleep. It's so boring and dry. But now, like, I can go straight into it and I can be done with analyzing the financial statements in like 1 hour. Sometimes 20 minutes to eliminate, no, not interested, move on. Right? And in the past, it was 20 minutes to even eliminate. I mean, 20 hours to eliminate, now 20 minutes. So it really does get better over time. But are you willing to do that 20 hours first? Right? It's like if you go and run a marathon, you cannot immediately be the fastest person, right? You must train. If you don't want to put in the time to train and not willing to suffer in the beginning, then you will never get there.
It's always the journey that initially it's hard.
Yes.
But if you're willing to just keep pushing and keep growing from there, that's when things get easier and easier.
Yes, correct. It's like my kid, right? Learning to walk, keep falling down. And then, like, I won't say who later, next time they watch this podcast. One of them will complain, no, don't want already, so tired, so hot. I get it, try. And the other one is like, just try again. I want to try again. Who grows faster? It's the one who keeps picking themselves up and say, I want to try again. Right? Or now as adults, the kids a bit hard lah. Or no, actually the kids know, right? When we pick ourselves up, we learn, what did I do last time that was wrong? I don't repeat that. So I'm very inspired by Thomas Edison. He's one of my favorite scientists because he has this quote that I really, really live by, which is, I didn't fail. I just found 1,000 methods that did not work.
Yeah. Wow, I love that.
And because he persevered, that's why we have the light today.
That's right.
Imagine if he didn't.
Thanks, Thomas Edison. Really, I'm pretty sure he can receive our blessings from our gratitude from heavens. And the next question I have for you will be, like, as a creator, you've been through such a long journey. Do you have any particular challenging moment that kind of make you probably want to give up, or you doubt yourself like, oh, am I able to sustain this business? Because at the end of the day, being a creator, we are also running our own business. Do you ever have doubts like that?
I can think of two. One is when haters appear. Haters are really very tiring, and it takes a lot of emotional strength to deal with them. And while it's very easy to say, don't let yourself be affected by the haters, but I mean, come on, we're all humans lah, right? It's very easy to say, but to not feel something is very difficult. So it gets very tiring when haters come up. And from time to time, I do get them quite a bit. I think the more exposed you are, the more likely your chances of having them, and it's really just about learning to deal with them. Yeah, so that's one. But I always maintain that I am not perfect. And if the hater is after me for something I did wrong, I actually use it as very good feedback to improve. But if a hater is after me just because he or she doesn't like my face, the way I talk, the way I teach, then okay, no, the way I teach still can improve, right? That's still feedback. But the way I talk, I literally have haters leaving comments like, can't understand what she's saying. Why does she speak with like she has a chip on her tongue? Then I'm like, you're one out of many people who say that, but many other people say that my articulation is very clear, right? So it does, after a while, I'm just like, I learned to block out those that are not fruitful, but sometimes it's the personal attacks that really get to you. Yeah, I've seen a lot commenting on my looks, for instance, or when I was bigger size previously, they'll say like, oh, she's very fat, and then those comments would really make me very demoralized, and I would just be like, don't post anything for a while until I recover, and I'll rant a lot to my husband at home, so it's really an emotional support. So that's one. Having haters is really a challenge that every content creator should be prepared for. Yeah, it doesn't go away. And then number two is, I feel creator burnout is a very real thing today, right? Because it's gotten so competitive, and the algo really kind of punishes you if you don't post. Yeah, you have to keep keeping up. Yeah, and you have to stay relevant. You have to keep adapting and changing your formats, right? Now I want to do appetitive. So you need to play your wheel with that. I haven't done mine yet, but yeah, you know,
I also haven't done.
Yeah, so you gotta follow trends. You need to think about it, and I think creator burnout is a very real challenge. I struggle with it at different points in my life, and actually, you're talking to me at this stage where I have deliberately not agreed to any new sponsorships for about 2 to 3 months, because I feel like I'm at my max. And I don't want to take on anything new. Unless something super compelling comes up, I really don't want to take on anything new. And I'm happy. I actually walk away from a total of 5 digits this quarter because I just felt like I was burning out. But the best thing I did for myself this year was to hire people. I started outsourcing. Yeah, and that has really saved my sanity. I mean, I used to be of the mindset whereby
Do everything ourselves.
Yeah, do everything myself, save money. Why must
Yeah.
I pay someone to do it? Someone if it's an organic video, right? You're not being paid in the first place. Why am I spending? But now I changed my mindset. What I do is I take the paid stuff and I reinvest a part of my earnings into creating organic. Yeah, so I changed the way I see things, and that has really helped me with the creator burnout.
Okay, I should do that too. I think that was a conversation we had with Kevin as well. Because he has been outsourcing, right? And then he's able to manage his workload pretty well. But at the same time, I feel like, but it's not a big video. You know, why am I spending on that?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay, how do you have that mindset shift?
It's really just reinvesting. Yeah, so I just take it that I have, if what I earn, I reinvest a certain percentage of that into organic. Yeah, because it's also about growing the channel, growing the exposure, so that my work reaches more people. Because let's be very frank, when I put out a message about financial products or something that is like, dude, you're overinsured, or dude, you're underinsured, or like you should not be choosing this over that because here are the trade-offs that no one told you about, that kind of stuff, right? Whether it reaches 1 person or 1,000 or 100,000 people, it's the same work that I do, right? So I might as well invest in getting people to help me with the editing so that I can focus on more ideas and more work like that. Because the people cannot come up with the ideas for me, but I can outsource the editing. Yeah.
Thanks. I really like your reinvesting. I think that speaks to me. Okay, I should reinvest.
I think another thing that really helped me to get over it, right, was that I hire people who are my readers. Yeah, and my favorite video editor right now, shout out to you, babe, you know who you are. She actually lost her job. So when I heard about it, I felt really bad, and I was like, okay, babe, I'll give you more videos to edit. right? Like I'm not the kind to like I loan you. Doesn't make sense also, right? You loan, you have your own savings and all, but how can I help you? I can help you earn more. How can I help that's win-win? So I give her more videos. Yeah, so during that season, I used to have several, but I gave her like the bulk of videos. And she really like, the more she does, the better she is as well. The beginning, the edits are, wow, back and forth so many times. Nowadays, sometimes one cut done. Like, wow, just one minor change, one typo done change. And it's like, she earns the same fee. Right? So yeah, then that's how I help. So it's also very meaningful for me because aside from thinking of it as reinvesting, I'm also seeing it as I'm actually helping people. Yes, I'm helping my fellow people. I'm creating jobs, mini jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm contributing to the economy and helping people have a livelihood.
How beautiful. And I also like the relationship they had with your readers. Like back then, it was a reader who inspired you to start investing, right? And right now, you are also helping them back. Not only like you are educating them with your knowledge and wisdom, but also you're helping them, some of them in their own livelihood. I think that's so beautiful.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, what has really been very insightful for me is that it used to be just a one-way street, right? Like I say something and you wake up. You learn something and then you go and take your action. But nowadays, I can actually do a lot more for them because the climate has changed. So I give an example. This year, one of the most rewarding things for me was that I could help a lot of my readers actually make money. Like I ran a side hustle course, which I charged ridiculous fees for because I didn't even want to earn. But I realized from doing a free workshop that people do not value it. They sign up and they don't show up. So it's a waste of my resources because I will use the numbers to plan. And when the numbers don't hit, and the dropout rate is very high when it's free. It's the same thing I experienced when I used to do free events. I would book and pay for the entire lecture hall, right?
Then people don't turn up.
Only
like,
half
oh my
turn up.
gosh.
Then I'm like, I could have booked a smaller room. I could have saved on the fees. So after a while, I was like, okay, I will do a paid one. But it's going to be so cheap, right? Very, very affordable, like one meal. Okay, or one cafe meal or something. And what I always tell them is that if you follow through, I'm very sure that you take action, you will make more than what you paid to attend the class before the class is even over. And for everyone who did the workshop, they really have the proof. They show me the screenshots. Yeah, and that has made me very proud because I'm only with them for those few days of the workshop. And they pay so little. It's like if you want to buy me a meal to pick my brains, it's the same thing, right? So, but now I can already see, you can see the money, and it continues. Because I've actually taught them the skill to go and earn this money long after that has ended. So even now, every now and then, right, like I had one reader who showed me during the side hustle class that I taught her how to use these platforms to do all this stuff. She's like, wow, I never knew this thing exists and this thing existed and da-da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, now you know. And then she was asking how to post better and how to do things better, and I was giving some advice. And then she posted and she showed me that she made, I think, about $100 before the class ended.
Wow.
Which was 2 times the course fee, by the way. Okay, and that was just from one platform. Haven't even count the other platforms that I introduced her to, you know. And this is in their own name, in their own username. Nothing to do with me. I don't even earn affiliate. Nothing, you know. So after that, then a few months later, she came back and it became $300 in the next month. After that, $500. And I already know, I can see this person, she continues it. It will just grow. So she only paid $50 to turn up for a 5-day workshop where I nag at them, teach and nag that you must do this, how you do the best practices, blah, blah, blah. She made how much money already in such a short time? Yeah, multiple, right? Yeah, and I think that is very fruitful to me. So I get a certain remuneration for teaching them, which makes my time worth it because every workshop that I run costs me at least 40 to 60 hours of my time. So I'm compensated in a little way, but more meaningful is when they send these kind of stories.
People seeing results, right? And
it's priceless to a certain extent.
It is. And I even have people who message me and say I now have enough to pay for my child's education because I followed your tips. I set up this side business. I followed I listened to you and I did this for myself. And I'm and they always say thank you, Dawn. I say you should thank yourself. Wow. Because you were the one who took action. Wow. Out of everyone who attended, not everyone took action. So you owe it to yourself.
Yeah, that is true.
And that's I find it very beautiful.
And I'm very sure our audience right now are very curious about this side business 5-day boot camp.
Side hustle course. How to earn multiple sources of side income.
If you are interested in, please type side hustle in the comment.
But not open now. Next one, maybe next year. I see how.
Okay, then at least indicate your interest. Then we will get back to you once it's officially launched again. Wow.
Actually, there's a very interesting story behind that also.
Yeah.
Because I never even intended to make a workshop or a class out of it. It was literally my readers who came to me and said, like, Dawn, I just got retrenched. Do you have any advice? I have a kid to feed. And the first one, I'll give advice. I audio and then say, oh, maybe you can try this. And then I'll let a second. Then the third. Then got the point where I'm like, I'm repeating myself. Why don't I just create a class? So it was always from the feedback. Yeah, so that was the first one. Then after I did that, I stopped it already. Then I went back to my usual stuff. And there was a second round of layoffs, if you all remember. Right, in October. That was what inspired me to bring back the second time round. And this time, I also took the feedback that the students from the first class gave on what they felt was feasible, what was not so feasible. Because sometimes their perceived difficulty and ours is different. So I took their feedback, I removed some stuff, I added in some stuff, I brought in new guest speakers that they wanted to learn from, and then I created a brand new, revised, updated workshop. Yeah, so next year, if I hear more of this kind of stock story, then maybe I'll bring it back. But for now,
Oh, must hear some story.
it gets to me, it really gets to me.
That motivates her. Okay, so make sure after that,
Leave your sob stories.
inside the chat, the more sadder it is, the better it is. But I think at the end of the day, I really love this very meaningful relationship that you and your audience are having. And it kind of also remind me of like how sometimes my followers are helping me to improve. Like, because sometimes they will ask questions that actually I never thought about that. But because we are so-called being seen as the person who provide content, so that made me think that, oh, then how can I find out the answer? Then I go and find out the answer, then I tell them, right? So I felt that this process is very useful for me as well because I'm improving as an investor. So really thanks everybody for asking me a lot of insightful questions. And I think Dawn is super appreciative to all her audience, her readers for helping her to grow along the way as well. So let's come to almost wrapping up this entire interview. I want to ask you, if today, right, you live as long as you wanted, right? And you have achieved every single thing that you want to achieve in your life. And you have been publishing so much, blog posts, so many videos and all those useful information and material, but you cannot, but you have to take them away with you. So basically, by the time that you pass away today, your blog posts will also disappear together. So what can be truly left are the 3 pieces of advice. So what will be the 3 pieces of advice that you will give to your readers? Yeah.
Wow, that's hard, leh. I think the first thing I would say is learn to take ownership of your own money because no one else cares more about it than you. That it's very easy for people to, and expanding on that, okay, so I'm still on point number 1. Expanding on that, it's very easy for people to just go and seek paid or financial advice, license, hedge fund, etc. But the thing about the finance industry we realize today is that if you go to anyone with your money and ask them to invest for you, there's a whole bunch of fees. And the fees really eat up. And they will always downplay the fees. What we don't see are the commissions and the fees, but these are really the ones that affect long-term returns. And I think there's very little knowledge and awareness about that. So the first thing is really take control. You can seek advice from an insurance agent. I do too. But you need to make the decisions yourself and not let them sway you. Right? You can let them open up something that you didn't think of. Like maybe you thought you're invincible, you don't need critical illness. I kept this blog post on my blog, In my 20s, I wrote this very naive blog post called Why I'm Not Buying Critical Insurance, Illness Insurance. I think my family history don't have. So naive, I keep that to show people, you see, once upon a time, Dawn also very naive. You see, I change my mind now. Because I learn, I become smarter and I see more things. Right? In your 20s, you really think you're very healthy and invincible. Then you realize, you go in your 30s, people around you getting cancer. Even though they're very healthy, also family history don't have. So is it true that you don't need the insurance? No, you're not. Yeah. So then I wisen up, right? So take advice, but listen to advice, but be in charge of your own decision. Yeah, never blindly follow. The second advice I would say is really follow the 4 rules. Save more, spend less, save more, earn more, and invest. Yeah, invest well. So these 4 really would do well. Yeah, and the last one I would say is don't let money become a limiting factor in your life. I grew up in a family where money was tight. And I saw how it caused a lot of tension and it drove my parents apart. My parents are divorced. So money was a very big part of it. And I saw that, as I saw that happening, I swore to myself as a kid that I would not let money be my limiting factor in the future. So even when I was only being paid $2,000 while my friends were earning 3 or 4K, I told myself it's not just about the money I earn. It's how much I can keep. Because my friends can earn more, but they don't keep as much. So they don't have the financial security that I have. Yeah, and that really served me well through my life.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And if people want to follow more about your work, where can they find you?
So I'm on YouTube, Your Finance Mama. I think the handle is Budget Babe SG. Put it in the link below. I'm also on TikTok. And TikTok is where they see a little bit more fun side of me. And I'm on Instagram stories, and I'm on Instagram a lot. So I post almost every day on Instagram stories, comment on news and stuff like that. And I do reels and post guides, Instagram guides, and of course my blog. So I'm generally on 4 channels. So depending on your learning preference, you can see where you want to follow me or follow me on all channels, and then learn from each channel as it speaks to you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, because all these channels, they all add up together to the holistic learning. So I think it's great to just follow all so that you can receive information every now and then, and you can read more in detail on her website as well, right? So thank you so much once again,
Thanks
Dawn,
for
for coming
having
out
me.
here. And thank you, JJ, for this amazing podcast environment once again. And make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next upcoming video where JJ is going to interview Dawn on her journey as being a creator, how she writes and how she come up with all these great ideas, right? So if this is something that you want to look out for, then make sure to check out the next video over here. Thank you. I will see you in the next video. Arigato.